The ceremonial hall of the Zephyrian flagship Domination's Edge thrummed with the low hum of anticipation. War Chief Kythera stood at the center of the obsidian platform, her forearms crossed in satisfaction as her subordinates presented their tribute from the latest conquered world. Her chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the harsh lighting, and her compound eyes reflected the spoils of war laid before her. "War Chief," General Vex announced, his voice carrying the weight of conquest. "The inhabitants of Kepler 442b have offered their most prized possession as tribute." He gestured toward two figures in restraint fields, a young woman with defiant amber eyes and a man whose jaw was set in grim determination. Anna felt the energy field crackling around her wrists, but she kept her chin raised. Beside her, Verk's dark eyes scanned their surroundings, already calculating escape routes that didn't exist. They had been captured during the evacuation of New Terra, one of humanity's last hidden colonies. Curious specimens, Kythera mused, her mandibles clicking with interest. She had collected trophies from 1,000 worlds, representatives of species that had fallen before the Zephyrian Empire's might. What makes these creatures so special? General Vex consulted his datapad. According to the planetary database, they are called humans, War Chief. The locals claim they are the last survivors of their species, legendary warriors from the old galaxy. At the word humans, Kythera's compound eyes widened in what could only be described as shock. Her forearms dropped to her sides, and for a moment, the most feared warrior in the Zephyrian fleet stood frozen. "Impossible," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the ship's ambient noise. Then, louder, with growing disbelief, "Impossible! I destroyed the last human myself, 200 years ago." The ceremonial hall fell silent. Anna and Verk exchanged glances, both recognizing the shift in the room's atmosphere. Anna stepped forward, her voice cutting through the tension. "You're talking about Captain Sarah Chen," she said, her words causing Kythera to visibly recoil. "She was my great-grandmother." Kythera's exoskeleton began to tremble. The memory came flooding back, the final battle above Earth's ruins, the human female who had fought with impossible tenacity, taking down 3 Zephyrian dreadnoughts single-handedly, before Kythera had finally cornered her damaged ship. "She died with honor," Kythera said slowly, her voice taking on an almost reverential tone. "But she was the last. The databases confirmed it. Earth was sterilized. The colonies were found and eliminated. How do you exist?" Verk stepped forward, his restraint field humming. "Because you never understood what made us human," he said, his voice steady despite their circumstances. "You thought you could exterminate, an idea by destroying bodies and worlds." Anna picked up the thread. "My great-grandmother bought time with her sacrifice. While you celebrated the fall of Earth, the survivors scattered to the dark spaces between stars. Generation ships hidden in asteroid fields, sleeper colonies in systems you'd already marked as barren. We didn't just survive, we adapted." Kythera began to pace, her forearms gesticulating as panic crept into her voice. No, the genetic scans, the technology signatures, we tracked everything. We found every colony, every outpost, every hidden base." "You found the ones we wanted you to find," Verk said with a slight smile. "Great-grandmother Chen didn't just sacrifice herself for time. She sacrificed herself to give you a false victory. While you were hunting down our decoy colonies, the real survivors were going deep. Deeper than you imagined possible." Anna's voice grew stronger. "Did you really think the species that crawled out of caves and built starships would be stopped by one empire? We've been watching you, learning from you. Every world you've conquered, we've had eyes on. Every species you've destroyed, we've cataloged your methods." The War Chief's compound eyes were now wide with something approaching terror. "You're lying. You're just refugees, stragglers from some forgotten colony." "Are we?" Verk asked. He looked directly at the War Chief, his human eyes meeting her alien gaze without flinching. "Tell me, War Chief, how many ships have you lost to equipment malfunctions in the past decade? How many times have your perfect battle plans gone wrong at crucial moments?" Kythera's breathing quickened, She had noticed the pattern, small at first, but growing. Critical failures during key battles. Information that somehow reached rebel groups before it should have. Supply convoys that never arrived at their destinations. The ghosts in the machine your techs keep reporting, Anna added softly. Those aren't glitches, War Chief. That's us. We've been inside your networks for 50 years. The ceremonial hall erupted in chaos as other Zephyrian officers began to grasp the implications. General Vex stepped toward the humans, his weapon drawn. But Kythera raised all four arms to stop him. Wait, she commanded, her voice hollow. She stared at the two humans before her, not as trophies or prisoners, but as representatives of something she had thought extinct. If what you say is true, if your species has been preparing, then why reveal yourselves now? Anna and E. Verk shared one final look. Anna's restraint field suddenly flickered and died. Then Verk's. Around the ship, alarms began to sound as systems throughout the fleet started failing in cascade. Because, Anna said, stepping forward freely, we're done hiding. Verk smiled grimly. Great-grandmother Chen taught us that sometimes the greatest victory comes from letting your enemy think they've already won. Through the great viewport of the ceremonial hall, stars began to move. Not stars, ships, thousands of them, emerging from dark space, from asteroid fields, from the empty void between worlds. Human ships, bearing designs that incorporated 2 centuries of hard-won knowledge about Zephyrian weaknesses. War Chief Kythera, conqueror of 1,000 worlds, looked upon the face of humanity's return and felt something she had not experienced in centuries. Fear. Impossible, she whispered one final time. Anna's smile was her great-grandmother's smile, the smile of a species that simply refused to die. War Chief, she said softly, you're about to learn that impossible is just another word for human.